If you're like me, scoring in the red zone can be pretty difficult, and unfortunately, it's one of the biggest factors in determining who wins a John Madden football game. So let's help you score on every drive. Before we get into it, I do want to mention that I have a weekly community poll that determines what the next video will be about. Feel free to check it out. Starting off with some pass setups. In any 2x2 compressed set, simply put your two outside receivers on hitches and put your inside receivers on slants if you're inside the 5, and outside the 5, put your receivers on posts. The hitches do a fantastic job of holding the clouds in place while the posts and slants get outside of the clouds and under the deep blues. Inside the red zone, I want to empower you guys to use a different formation from your bread and butter formation because it is really important and the field is a lot more compressed in the red zone. For example, Skimbo uses split offset in the red zone because of its strong power. More to come on runs later. Our second pass play does come out of the Meta Saints playbook, out of Salem Pivot. It's a play out of the stack formation. Pretty much we're going to run it stock by just adding a angle route to the halfback. It's a really good play because of the whips have very good timing with the rest of the routes, and they're just a lot of good windows to hit. It's a very effective play in the red zone. Now moving to the run section of the video, where I'm going to help you guys find some runs out of shotgun to complement these pass setups. The first run that I want to talk about is 0-1 trap. It's a phenomenal run play, but it's even better if you motion the outside receiver opposite of the running back and hike the ball while the wide receiver is in motion. In case you're wondering, it is impossible for you to hike the ball in path with the receiver, so fumbling here is not a risk. I've literally run this setup thousands of times and I've never had an issue with that. The next run has a few playbook variations out of any split offset type formation, and the play is Power O. You can run it completely stock by IDing the user, and it's honestly a really good play. Pro players like Skimbo enjoy this run for good reason. In fact, the Power O has a complement a fullback dive, which is also very good, so I recommend putting a free goal line back on one side of the formation and a glowing orange X Factor on the other side, and pick which side you want to run the ball on. And now for my favorite part of the video, where I introduced a mini scheme that has been effective in Madden for years. We're going to be using single back deuce close, which can be found in many playbooks. And we're going to go ahead and sub in 2 running backs and 3 tight ends to the wide receiver spot. This will create a pseudo goal line formation. What we'll do here is we'll set up our pass audibles and our run audibles. I recommend having stretch and dive in single back deuce close along with a pass play, although it can be any pass play because we're going to be using only hot routes. The second part is to go into goal line and set your audibles there. We want fullback dive, QB sneak, halfback Power O, and a pass play. First and foremost, I recommend running the ball. It is the safest way to score in the red zone, and with a combination of stretch, dive, HB wham if you have it, and your goal line at your disposal, you should be in really good shape. The defense shouldn't be coming out in goal line, so quarterback sneak is a really effective way to get some free yards inside the 3. Simply audible over from single back deuce close to goal line because of your personnel, and audible to quarterback sneak. From there, you can flip it either to the left or to the right based on your preference and where the user is. And if they're in a 4 lineman set, this is literally free yards. Actually, against most defensive formations, this is free yards. The only exception would be if your opponent comes out in goal line and pinches their line. However, in that case, I'd just stick with single back deuce close and run stretch. Now, I do want to give you guys some passing plays just in case you prefer to score with style. Starting off with my favorite pass setup out of deuce close, we're going to call it the double wheels. What we're going to do here is put the running back on a wheel, the outside receiver on a flat route that will open up the wheel, and then we're going to motion our tight end to the backfield, very similar to what Dez did in the MCS. You'll motion the tight end into the backfield, put him on a wheel, and then motion him back to the tight end position. From there, you'll put the wide receiver on that side on a streak. That will help clear out any zones that would normally cover the wheel. Now, if you're afraid this motion is a tell to your opponent, that's partially true. feel free to mix in some runs with this motion to really throw off your opponent. Even if your opponent knows it's coming, the double wheel is incredibly hard to stop. The last out route on the play is to in route your tight end, which attacks the middle of the field in case the user goes out and guards one of the two wheels. If you're playing a super sweat, you can audible to goal line calling a pass play called double ins, and if you really want to throw them off, you can motion your halfback out into the flat, and if they run commit, they're absolutely screwed. You will be absolutely shocked at how often your opponent run commits when you audible over to goal line. Literally, the run commit is a free touchdown. I would be remiss in not mentioning abilities in a red zone tutorial, because while they're obvious, they're also super effective. I'd be sure to at least have one free goal line back on your roster, one free red zone threat, and if you're using an X Factor running back, I'd be sure to leverage them in the red zone as well.